Hello, car enthusiasts. Welcome to our channel. We've prepared a very interesting video for you about the 7 craziest and worst cars in America from the 1960s. This video is sure to surprise you, so get comfortable and watch it until the end. Enjoy the show. Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support. Number 7. The 1965 Chevrolet Bel Air represents a significant departure from the prestige and style that once defined the Bel Air nameplate. Here's an in-depth look at why the 1965 model is often considered crazy or worst. The Chevrolet Bel Air debuted in 1950 as a premium model in Chevy's lineup, known for its stylish design and well-appointed features. By 1965, however, the Bel Air had been demoted to a lower trim level, sitting just above the entry-level Biscayne and below the more upscale Impala. This shift in positioning marked the Bel Air's decline from a symbol of post-war American prosperity to a more utilitarian, mid-range option. One of the major criticisms of the 1965 Bel Air was its lack of distinct features compared to the cheaper Chevrolet Biscayne. Both models shared similar body styles and dimensions, with the Bel Air offering only minor upgrades such as additional chrome trim and slightly better interior materials. This made it difficult for buyers to justify the extra cost for a car that didn't stand out significantly from its cheaper sibling. The 1965 Bel Air featured a boxy, conservative design that lacked the flair and excitement of previous generations. While the Impala continued to receive the more elaborate and stylish treatment, including additional chrome, a sportier roofline, and more luxurious interiors, the Bel Air was left with a more basic, utilitarian appearance. This bland design did little to attract buyers who were increasingly interested in cars that offered both performance and style. The interior of the 1965 Bel Air was functional but unremarkable. It lacked many of the advanced features that were becoming standard in higher-end models, such as power windows, air conditioning, and premium upholstery. This stripped-down approach made the Bel Air less appealing to consumers who were looking for a full-size car with modern conveniences and a more luxurious feel. The Impala, which had become Chevrolet's flagship Odell by 1965, further overshadowed the Bel Air. The Impala offered more powerful engine options, better styling, and a broader range of features, making it the preferred choice for buyers who wanted a full-sized Chevrolet with a touch of luxury and performance. The Bel Air, in contrast, seemed stuck in a middle ground, neither cheap enough to compete with the Biscayne nor luxurious enough to rival the Impala. While the Bel Air was available with a variety of engine options, from the standard 230 cubic inch inline-six to the more powerful 327 cubic inch V8. These powertrains were also available on the Biscayne and Impala. This further diluted the Bel Air's appeal, as buyers could get similar performance from either a cheaper or more luxurious model. By 1965, the Bel Air had lost much of its market share to both the more affordable Biscayne and the more luxurious Impala. This reflected a broader trend in the automotive market, where buyers were increasingly gravitating towards cars that either offered great value or more upscale features, leaving the mid-range Bel Air struggling to find its place. The 1965 Chevrolet Bel Air is often seen as a shadow of its former self, having been relegated to a lower trim level with few distinguishing features. Its conservative design, lack of advanced features, and the rise of more compelling models within Chevrolet's lineup contributed to its diminished status. Once a symbol of mid-century American automotive excellence, the Bel Air of 1965 is remembered more for its decline than for any standout attributes. Number 6. The The 1965 Pontiac Catalina, while a popular model during its time, is sometimes criticized for being uninspired and failing to stand out in Pontiac's lineup. The Catalina was positioned as a mid-range full-sized car in Pontiac's lineup, sitting below the more luxurious Bonneville and above the entry-level Star Chief. While it was intended to appeal to a broad audience, this positioning also made it somewhat generic, as it lacked the distinctive features that defined other models. The 1965 Pontiac Catalina had a relatively conservative design compared to the more stylish and aggressive models in Pontiac's lineup, such as the GTO. The Catalina's body was characterized by clean lines, a wide grille, and minimal chrome accents, which, while attractive to some, were seen as bland and uninspiring to others. It didn't have the visual flair that was becoming increasingly important in the mid-1960s, especially as automakers were focusing on creating more dynamic and aggressive-looking vehicles. One of the main criticisms of the 1965 Catalina is that it lacked distinctiveness. Many of its design elements were shared with other Pontiac models, making it hard to distinguish from other cars in the lineup. This was particularly evident when compared to the Bonneville, which featured more upscale styling and trim options, and the GTO, which was celebrated for its sporty and muscular appearance. The Catalina was offered with a range of engine options, including the standard 389 cubic inch V8, which produced 256 horsepower in its base form. While these engines provided adequate power for a full-sized car, they didn't offer the high-performance capabilities that were becoming a hallmark of Pontiac's sportier models. Buyers who wanted a more thrilling driving experience were more likely to gravitate towards the GTO or even the Grand Prix, leaving the Catalina as a more sedate choice. While the Catalina could be equipped with performance upgrades such as the tri-power carburetor setup that boosted the 389 V8's output, these options were not standard. As a result, many Catalinas were sold with more modest powertrains, making them less exciting to drive compared to other cars in the same price range. The interior of the 1965 Catalina was functional, but not particularly luxurious. It offered standard features typical of the time, such as bench seating and basic instrumentation, but it lacked the more upscale touches found in the Bonneville or the sporty accents of the GTO. The materials used were durable, but didn't convey a sense of luxury or sophistication, reinforcing the perception that the Catalina was more utilitarian than stylish. By 1965, car buyers were beginning to expect more in terms of technology and comfort features. The Catalina, however, didn't introduce any significant innovations in this regard. It offered power steering and brakes as options, but these were becoming standard in more upscale models. The lack of cutting-edge features made the Catalina feel somewhat outdated compared to its competitors. One of the challenges the Catalina faced was competition from within Pontiac's own lineup. The Bonneville, with its more luxurious appointments, and the Grand Prix, with its sportier image, both overshadowed the Catalina. Buyers looking for a full-size car often found the extra cost of upgrading to the Bonneville or opting for the sportier Grand Prix to be worth it, leaving the Catalina as a less desirable middle ground. In the broader market, the Catalina also faced stiff competition from other full-sized cars like the Chevrolet Impala, Ford Galaxy, and even the Dodge Polara. These models offered similar levels of performance and comfort, but often had more distinctive styling or a stronger brand identity, making them more appealing to buyers. Despite its criticisms, the 1965 Pontiac Catalina was a successful model in terms of sales. Pontiac's reputation for reliability and performance, along with the Catalina's affordability, helped it maintain a strong presence in the market. However, it was often seen as a practical choice, rather than an exciting one, which has affected its legacy in the years since. Over time, the 1965 Catalina has been somewhat overlooked by collectors and enthusiasts who tend to favor models like the GTO or the Bonneville. Its conservative styling and lack of standout features mean that it doesn't generate the same excitement as other Pontiacs from the era. Number 5. The 1965 Ford Thunderbird is a car that embodies both the grandeur and excesses of mid-1960s American automotive design. While it remains iconic for many, it is often criticized for drifting away from the Thunderbird's original sporty roots and embracing a more bloated, luxury-oriented design. Here's an in-depth look at why the 1965 Thunderbird is sometimes viewed as one of the more crazy or less successful iterations of the model. When the Thunderbird was first introduced in 1955, it was envisioned as a two-seater sports car that could compete with the Chevrolet Corvette. However, by 1965, the Thunderbird had transformed into a large, heavy personal luxury car. The shift towards a four-seater configuration and a focus on luxury rather than performance marked a significant departure from its original concept. The 1965 Thunderbird featured a long hood, a broad front grille, and a low, wide stance. While these elements contributed to its commanding presence, they also made the car appear bloated and excessively large. The car's weight had ballooned to nearly 4,500 pounds, which was far heavier than many of its contemporaries. This added bulk made the Thunderbird less agile and more cumbersome to drive, which disappointed enthusiasts who remembered the car's more nimble origins. The 1965 Thunderbird is known for its distinctive sequential turn signals, which were a novel feature at the time, but the overall styling was polarizing. The car's design included prominent rear fender skirts, large chrome bumpers, and an oversized front grille that some critics felt were more about flash than function. The design was clearly aimed at the luxury market, but it lacked the elegance of more refined European competitors or the muscle of emerging American performance cars. The 1965 Thunderbird came with a 390 cubic inch 6.4-liter V8 engine that produced 300 horsepower. While this was a respectable amount of power, the car's excessive weight severely hampered its performance. The Thunderbird could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 10 seconds, which was slow compared to lighter, more performance-oriented cars of the time. The Thunderbird's suspension was tuned for comfort rather than sporty handling, resulting in a soft, cushy ride that absorbed road imperfections well but made the car feel disconnected from the road. The emphasis on luxury over performance alienated buyers who were looking for a more engaging driving experience. The handling was sluggish, and the car had a tendency to wallow in corners, further reinforcing its image as a luxury cruiser rather than a sports car. The interior of the 1965 Thunderbird was plush and well-appointed, featuring padded surfaces, bucket seats, and a center console that gave it a cockpit-like feel. However, the design was also criticized for being overly complicated. The wraparound dashboard and numerous buttons and switches were visually impressive but could be confusing to use. Some felt that the interior was more about showing off than providing practical functionality. The Thunderbird was equipped with several advanced features for the time, such as power windows, air conditioning, and an optional AM/FM radio with an 8-track tape player. While these features were cutting-edge, they were also seen as gimmicks that added to the car's already high price without necessarily improving the driving experience. The focus on luxury and gadgetry was a departure from the simplicity and purity of the early Thunderbird models. By 1965, the personal luxury car market was becoming increasingly competitive, with models like the Buick Riviera, Pontiac Grand Prix, and Oldsmobile Toronado offering similar blends of performance and luxury. The Thunderbird's size, weight, and emphasis on luxury made it less appealing to younger buyers who were drawn to the merging muscle car segment, while its performance couldn't match the agility of smaller, sportier cars. Despite its criticisms, the 1965 Thunderbird sold reasonably well, with over 74,000 units produced. However, it was clear that the car's appeal was more towards older, wealthier buyers who valued comfort and prestige over performance and excitement. This shift in target demographic further distanced the Thunderbird from its sporty origins. Number 4. The 1965 Mercury Colony Park is an intriguing example of mid-20th century American automotive design, particularly in the station wagon segment. As the top-of-the-line model in Mercury's station wagon lineup, the Colony Park was known for its large size, luxurious appointments, and distinctive wood grain paneling. However, it was also criticized for its outdated design and unwieldy size, which made it feel out of place in the rapidly changing automotive landscape of the mid-1960s. Here's an in-depth look at why the 1965 Mercury Colony Park is often viewed as one of the more crazy or less successful models of its time. One of the most distinctive features of the 1965 Mercury Colony Park was its simulated wood grain paneling on the sides, a design element that harkened back to the woody wagons of the 1940s and 1950s. By the mid-1960s, however, this style was starting to feel outdated and out of sync with the more modern, streamlined designs that were becoming popular. The wood grain paneling, combined with the car's large size, gave it a somewhat antiquated appearance. The Colony Park was a full-size station wagon, measuring over 215 inches in length and nearly 80 inches in width. Its substantial dimensions made it one of the largest vehicles on the road, which could be both an advantage and a disadvantage. While the size provided ample interior space, it also made the car difficult to handle, especially in tight spaces or urban environments. The sheer bulk of the Colony Park contributed to its somewhat cumbersome driving experience. Despite being a 1965 model, the Colony Park's design still carried over many elements from the previous decade. The overall shape of the car, with its long, straight lines and relatively conservative styling, felt more at home in the 1950s than in the rapidly modernizing 1960s. While some buyers appreciated its classic look, others saw it as outdated and out of touch with contemporary automotive trends. The 1965 Mercury Colony Park was powered by a 390 cubic inch 6.4-liter V8 engine, which produced around 270 horsepower. While this was a respectable amount of power, the car's substantial weight, over 4,500 pounds, meant that acceleration was sluggish and the overall performance was underwhelming. The Colony Park was designed more for comfort and cruising than for speed or agility, which made it less appealing to buyers who were beginning to look for more dynamic driving experiences. The sheer size and weight of the Colony Park made it challenging to drive, especially in an era before power steering and braking systems were as refined as they are today. Parking and maneuvering in tight spaces were particularly difficult, and the car's long wheelbase made it prone to body roll in corners. The suspension was tuned for comfort rather than sporty handling, resulting in a smooth ride but lackluster driving dynamics. Inside, The 1965 Mercury Colony Park offered a spacious cabin with seating for up to 9 passengers, thanks to its third-row seating. The interior was well appointed with quality materials, but the overall design was conservative, with little to distinguish it from other full-size wagons of the era. The focus was on comfort and practicality rather than style or innovation. While the Colony Park was equipped with some of the luxury features expected in a top-tier model, such as air conditioning and power accessories, it lacked the cutting-edge technology and advanced features that were beginning to appear in more forward-looking cars of the time. The interior design and layout were functional, but didn't offer much in the way of excitement or innovation. By 1965, the American car market was evolving rapidly, with an increasing emphasis on more compact, efficient, and modern vehicles. The Mercury Colony Park, with its large size, heavy weight, and dated design, seemed increasingly out of step with these trends. While it still appealed to buyers looking for a traditional, full-size station wagon, it was less successful in attracting younger or more progressive consumers. The Colony Park was part of a shrinking segment as station wagons began to decline in popularity with the rise of more versatile vehicles like minivans and later SUVs. Although it was the flagship wagon in Mercury's lineup, its sales were modest compared to more popular models like the Ford Country Squire, which offered similar features and styling but with the advantage of Ford's broader market appeal. Number 3, the 1965 Buick Electra 225 is a quintessential example of mid-1960s American luxury cars, renowned for its large size and traditional styling. While it was a flagship model for Buick and represented the height of luxury at the time, it faced several criticisms that make it stand out as an example of both opulence and excess. The Electra 225 was a full-size luxury car with an imposing length of over 225 inches, earning it the 225 in its name. Its massive size made it one of the largest cars on the road. While this provided ample interior space, it also resulted in a cumbersome vehicle that was challenging to maneuver and park. The sheer bulk of the Electra 225 made it feel unwieldy, particularly in urban environments where tight spaces were common. The 1965 Electra 225 featured a design that was seen as overly conservative compared to the more modern, sleek designs emerging in the mid-1960s. It had a large, straight-edged grille, long hood, and expansive rear fenders, which contributed to its traditional appearance. This design, while classic, was viewed as outdated by some, particularly as automotive trends began to shift towards more dynamic and streamlined forms. Like many luxury cars of the era, the Electra 225 was adorned with extensive chrome trim. While this chrome detailing added to the car's luxurious appearance, it also contributed to its perception as excessively flashy and outdated. The heavy use of chrome, combined with the car's large size, made it seem ostentatious and less refined compared to more modern designs. Despite its large size, the Electra 225 was equipped with a 401 cubic inch, 6.6-liter V8 engine that produced around 325 horsepower. While this was sufficient for a car of its size, the Electra 225's substantial weight, over 4,500 pounds, meant that its performance was less impressive than other smaller and more agile vehicles. Acceleration was adequate, but not particularly exciting, and the handling was affected by the car's bulk and size. The large dimensions of the Electra 225 made it challenging to handle, especially for drivers accustomed to smaller, more nimble cars. The car's steering and suspension were designed for comfort rather than sporty handling, resulting in a ride that was smooth but somewhat uninvolving. Parking and maneuvering, the Electra 225 could be particularly cumbersome adding to its less favorable driving experience. The interior of the 1965 Electra 225 was designed to offer luxury and comfort, with features like leather upholstery, power windows, and a spacious cabin. However, the design of the interior was also quite traditional, with a focus on classic luxury rather than innovative or modern features. While the interior was comfortable and well-appointed, it lacked the cutting-edge technology and design elements that were starting to emerge in other high-end vehicles. The Electra 225 prioritized comfort and space over innovation. While it offered a smooth and cushioned ride, it did not incorporate some of the more advanced features and technologies that were becoming available in other luxury cars. This focus on traditional luxury over modern advancements contributed to its perception as being out of touch with contemporary trends. By 1965, the automotive market was beginning to shift towards smaller, more efficient vehicles with modern styling. The Electra 225, with its large size and conservative design, was increasingly seen as outdated. It was designed for a market that was starting to embrace new trends in automotive design, making it seem somewhat out of step with the changing preferences of consumers. Despite its large size and luxurious features, the Electra 225 did not sell as well as some of its competitors. The large, traditional design and heavy emphasis on comfort over performance made it less appealing to buyers who were beginning to prioritize sporty performance and modern styling. The Electra 225 sales were solid, but did not reach the levels of some of the more popular luxury cars of the time. The 1965 Buick Electra 225 is remembered as a large, traditional luxury car that faced criticism for its excessive size, conservative styling, and outdated features. While it offered comfort and space, it struggled to keep pace with changing automotive trends and was seen as somewhat out of touch with the more modern, dynamic vehicles of the mid-1960s. Today, it stands as a notable example of American luxury cars from that era, appreciated for its classic design, but also recognized for its limitations and excesses. Number 2. The 1965 Pontiac Bonneville is a classic example of mid-1960s American full-size luxury cars, known for its size and emphasis on comfort. However, it also faced several criticisms that contributed to its reputation as crazy, or worst, in certain aspects. The Bonneville was a full-size car, with a length of over 220 inches. Its substantial size contributed to a commanding presence on the road, but it also made the car cumbersome. The sheer bulk of the Bonneville affected its maneuverability and made it less practical for urban driving. The 1965 Bonneville featured a design that was typical of large American cars of the era, with a prominent front grille, expansive chrome trim, and a long, flowing body. While the design was intended to convey luxury and prestige, it was also seen as somewhat outdated compared to the more streamlined and modern designs emerging at the time. The Bonneville's styling was considered less refined and more conservative compared to some of its competitors. The Bonneville was equipped with a soft suspension system, designed to provide a comfortable, smooth ride. While this was beneficial for cruising and long-distance driving, it resulted in a handling experience that was described as floaty and less engaging. The car's soft suspension made it feel less responsive and more cumbersome in corners and during maneuvers. Despite having a 389 cubic inch, 6.4-liter V8 engine producing around 325 horsepower, the Bonneville's heavy weight, over 4,500 pounds, meant that its performance was not as lively as some of the sportier or more agile cars of the time. The combination of a large engine and a heavy body resulted in a car that was powerful in a straight line, but struggled with agility and handling. The car's large dimensions and soft suspension made it challenging to handle, especially for drivers used to smaller or sportier vehicles. The Bonneville's steering and suspension were designed for comfort rather than sporty driving, which made it less enjoyable for those who valued a more engaging driving experience. The interior of the 1965 Bonneville was designed to offer luxury and comfort, with features like plush upholstery, power windows, and a spacious cabin. However, the interior design was also quite traditional and conservative, with a focus on comfort rather than innovation. The design lacked some of the modern features and advancements that were starting to appear in other luxury cars. The Bonneville's focus on providing a smooth, comfortable ride often came at the expense of performance and handling. The car's soft suspension and heavy build prioritized ride comfort, which contributed to its less dynamic driving experience. For some buyers, the emphasis on comfort over performance made the Bonneville feel outdated compared to more modern vehicles. By 1965, the automotive market was evolving, with increasing interest in smaller, more agile cars that offered a blend of performance and style. The Bonneville's large size and soft ride made it less appealing to buyers who were seeking a more exciting or dynamic driving experience. The car's emphasis on comfort and luxury, while appreciated by some, did not resonate with all consumers. The Bonneville was criticized for its bulk and lack of handling finesse. While it sold well and was popular among buyers who valued luxury and comfort, it was also seen as a symbol of the excesses of American automotive design in the 1960s. Its sales were solid, but did not reach the levels of some of the more popular or innovative cars of the time. Today, the 1965 Pontiac Bonneville is a collector's item, appreciated for its classic American luxury design and its place in automotive history. Enthusiasts value its status as a symbol of mid-century American opulence, but it is often recognized for its limitations in terms of handling and performance. The Bonneville represents a time when American luxury cars were defined by their size and comfort rather than performance or modern design. It captures the essence of mid-century American automotive luxury, characterized by a focus on spaciousness and traditional luxury features. Number 1. The 1965 Dodge Monaco was an ambitious model that aimed to combine sportiness with the full-size luxury segment, but it ended up facing several challenges that led to its mixed reception. The Dodge Monaco's design tried to strike a balance between sporty and traditional full-size styling. It featured a broad, aggressive front grille and pronounced fender lines, but these were paired with a conservative overall shape and large proportions. This combination resulted in a somewhat confusing aesthetic that failed to fully capture the excitement of a true sporty car or the elegance of a luxury vehicle. The Monaco was a full-size car with significant dimensions, including a length exceeding 220 inches. Its size contributed to a heavy curb weight, which was contrary to the agile, nimble characteristics typically associated with sporty vehicles. The large dimensions also made the Monaco less practical for urban environments and tighter driving conditions. While the Monaco was marketed as a sporty, full-size car, its performance didn't match its ambitions. The car was equipped with a range of engines, including a 383 cubic inch, 6.3-liter V8 that offered respectable power, but the large and heavy body limited its agility and handling. The Monaco's performance was more aligned with traditional full-size comfort rather than true sports performance. The suspension system of the Monaco was tuned more for comfort than for sporty handling. The result was a ride that was smooth, but lacked the responsive handling and cornering abilities that would be expected in a more performance-oriented vehicle. This further contributed to its reputation as a less exciting option compared to more focused sports cars. The interior of the 1965 Monaco was designed to offer comfort and a premium feel, featuring spacious seating and high-quality materials. However, it lacked the sporty flair that was expected from a car marketed as having a sporty edge. The design was more aligned with traditional luxury than with the modern, sport-oriented interiors of the time. Despite its sporty marketing, the Monaco's interior features were more focused on luxury and comfort rather than enhancing driving dynamics. The lack of advanced sports features, like sport-tuned suspension or performance-oriented interior touches, contributed to the car's failure to fully embrace the sporty persona it aimed for. The 1965 Monaco struggled with its market positioning. It was intended to be a sporty, full-size car, but its large size and heavy build made it less appealing to buyers looking for a true sports car. At the same time, its styling and features didn't fully cater to the luxury market, leading to a lack of clear identity and purpose. The Monaco's reception was mixed due to its ambiguous positioning. Enthusiasts who sought a genuine sporty car found it lacking in performance and handling, while those looking for a full-size luxury vehicle didn't find it distinguished enough from other offerings in Dodge's lineup. This resulted in the Monaco being overshadowed by more focused competitors. The Dodge Monaco had a relatively short production run compared to some of its peers. The model underwent several changes in subsequent years, and the original 1965 version did not achieve the lasting impact that Dodge had hoped for. The nameplate would continue in various forms, but the 1965 model is often remembered as a peculiar attempt at blending sporty and full-size characteristics. Today, the 1965 Dodge Monaco is a collector's item appreciated for its unique place in automotive history. It represents an interesting chapter in Dodge's attempts to diversify its lineup and appeal to different segments of buyers. While it may not have achieved its original goals, it remains a notable example of mid-1960s automotive design and ambition. The 1965 Dodge Monaco aimed to blend sportiness with full-size luxury, but struggled due to its large size, heavy weight, and a design that was neither fully sporty nor fully luxurious. Its performance and handling did not match the expectations set by its sporty aspirations, and its market position was ambiguous, leading to a mixed reception. Today, the Monaco is remembered for its ambitious but flawed approach, representing a unique, if somewhat confused, attempt in the mid-1960s automotive landscape.